The sun blazed down on the dust-soaked frontier town of Dry Creek, where the air shimmered like a mirage and every shadow carried a secret. Wade Harlan, a rugged cowboy with calloused hands and quiet eyes, tied his horse outside the old saloon and stepped in. He wasn't much for words, but when a man owed him a debt, he came to collect, no matter what form the payment took. Inside, the saloon smelled of whiskey and wood smoke. Wade's boots thudded against the floorboards as every eye turned to him. In the corner sat Silas Boone, a rancher known more for his bad luck than his good deals. He looked up nervously as Wade approached. "Afternoon, Boone," Wade said flatly. "You owe me $200 for that last herd you lost." Boone rubbed the back of his neck. "About that. Money's gone, but I got something else. Something worth more." Wade's brow furrowed. "Ain't much worth more than cash to me." Boone stood and nodded toward the back door. "You'll want to see this." Reluctantly, Wade followed him outside, where a small wagon sat under the burning sun. Inside it, bound at the wrists, dust streaking her face, was a young woman. Her eyes were sharp, unyielding, filled with both fire and fear. She was Apache. Boone spat on the ground. "Caught her out by the ridge. Said her tribe left her behind. You take her, we'll call the debt square." Wade froze. He wasn't a man who traded in people. "You're out of your damn mind," he growled. Boone shrugged. "You can leave her to rot or take her. That's debt." The girl looked up at Wade, her lips trembling, not in fear but defiance. "Don't take me," she hissed. "You'll regret it." Wade met her gaze, the desert wind whipping between them. Something in those eyes, pride, sorrow, strength, held him still. He saw no slave, only a person trying to hide her pain. After a long silence, Wade sighed. "Cut her loose." Boone blinked. "You serious?" "I'll take her," Wade said, his voice low, "but not as payment. As a human being who don't deserve chains." Boone scoffed but sliced the ropes. "Fine, don't say I didn't warn you." The girl rubbed her wrists, glaring at Wade. "You didn't save me," she said bitterly. "You just changed the cage." Wade didn't answer. He led his horse, Dusty, to the side and helped her mount. She refused his hand but climbed up with fierce dignity. They rode out of town under the white blaze of noon. The wind howled across the plains, carrying whispers of fate neither of them understood yet. Hours later, they reached Wade's ranch, a lonely stretch of land bordered by rolling hills and golden grass. He helped her down again, careful not to touch her. "You can stay in the cabin," he said quietly. "Ain't much, but it's dry and nobody'll bother you." She folded her arms. "Why are you helping me?" "'Cause you're in trouble," Wade said simply. "And I ain't the kind of man to walk past it." She watched him warily. "My name is Ayanna," she said after a pause. "Wade," he replied. The air between them hung heavy, cautious but alive. The silence said more than words could. As night settled over the prairie, Ayanna sat by the fire inside the small cabin, tracing the scars on her wrists. Wade leaned against the porch rail, staring at the stars. He couldn't shake her eyes from his mind, fierce, proud, and wounded all at once. He didn't know her truth. Didn't know that the woman he'd just taken in wasn't some abandoned wanderer, but the hidden daughter of the Apache chief, and the key to a storm about to hit the ranch. Far in the distance, drums echoed faintly across the desert, warning of the vengeance coming his way. The morning came bright and burning. The sound of wind brushing over the dry grass was the only thing that broke the silence of Wade Harlan's ranch. Inside the cabin, Ayanna sat by the small window, her eyes scanning the horizon, alert, tense, and unreadable. She hadn't slept much. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the night wind made her flinch. Wade noticed it as he entered with a tin cup of water. "You'll need this," he said, setting it down beside her. She didn't thank him. Her pride wouldn't let her, but she drank, her lips cracked and dry. "I'm not your slave," she said finally, breaking the silence. "Didn't say you were," Wade replied. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "You can leave any time you want. But out there," he nodded toward the horizon, "it's a long way to safety." Ayanna's jaw tightened. "You don't know what's out there." Wade tilted his head. Then maybe you should tell me. She turned away, staring out the window. You wouldn't believe me. Try me. For a long moment the room stayed silent, except for the wind. Then she spoke, her voice low, filled with pain and warning. My people think I'm dead, she began. I am daughter to Chief Ten Bears, leader of the White Mountain Apache. My brothers fought against the soldiers last moon. When I was taken, they thought I betrayed them. They left me to die. Wade's brows furrowed. You're the chief's daughter? She nodded slowly. And if your people find out you're keeping me here, they'll come. They'll burn this land to the ground. He stared at her, trying to read if she meant it as a threat or a warning. Her eyes said both. I don't care who your father is, Wade said evenly. You're hurt and I ain't about to throw you to the wolves. Her voice trembled, frustration mixing with something softer. Why? You don't even know me. Wade looked at her for a long moment. Maybe I don't need to. Maybe a man's supposed to help when he can. She studied him, his weathered face, his steady hands, his calm voice. He wasn't like the soldiers who laughed when they saw her chained, nor like the ranchers who treated her people like animals. There was something in him, something that didn't fit the world around him. Later that day, as the sun climbed higher, Wade went to check his horses by the corral. Ayanna followed, barefoot in the dust. The horses snorted nervously at her presence, but Wade's old mare trotted forward, curious. She likes you, Wade said. Most folks she don't. Ayanna smiled faintly, brushing her hand along the mare's neck. Animals see truth. They know when someone's hiding pain. Wade chuckled. Guess she sees too much then? For the first time, Ayanna laughed. A quiet, musical sound that startled him more than any gunshot could. It reminded him there was life under all that fear, but peace never lasted long in the West. That evening, while Wade was fixing the fence, he saw dust rising in the distance. 3 riders, fast. He narrowed his eyes, the glint of rifles catching the sunlight. Ayanna's voice came from behind him, trembling. They've found me. Your people? No, she whispered. Men who traded me. They want me back, for silver. Wade cursed under his breath, grabbed his rifle and turned to her. Get inside. Lock the door. Don't come out, she froze. You can't fight them alone. I don't aim to fight, he said, checking his weapon. Just make sure they don't take what ain't theirs. The riders approached, laughing, shouting his name. Wade Harlan, one of them yelled. We hear you got our property. Wade stood tall, the rifle in his hand steady as stone. Ain't no property here, just people. And you boys best keep riding. They laughed harder. You think that red-skinned girl ain't worth nothing? We can take her or we can take your head. Your choice, cowboy. Wade's jaw clenched. You can try. The first bullet whined past his ear, hitting the post behind him. He ducked, rolled, fired once, the crack of his rifle echoing across the valley. One man dropped, the others spurred their horses forward. Inside the cabin, Ayanna clutched the doorframe, her heart pounding. She wanted to stay hidden. She wanted to run, but something inside her refused to watch another man bleed because of her. She grabbed Wade's spare revolver from the shelf, stepped outside and fired, once, twice, steady and sharp. The last rider tumbled from his saddle, screaming. When the dust cleared, silence fell again. Wade turned to her, breathing hard, surprise flickering in his eyes. You shoot better than half the men I've known. She smirked faintly. My father taught me before I could walk. Then her smile faded as she saw the blood on his sleeve. You're hit. It's nothing, he muttered. She reached for him anyway, pressing her hand against the wound. You shouldn't have done this for me. He looked down at her hand, then back into her eyes. Then maybe I didn't do it for you, he said softly. Maybe I did it because it was right. For the first time, Ayanna didn't argue. She just held his gaze, the truth of his words settling deep inside her chest. Out beyond the hills, the echo of horses faded into silence. But somewhere far off, beyond what either could see, drums began to beat again. Her tribe was on the move, and Wade Harlan was about to learn that saving the chief's daughter meant standing against the wrath of an entire nation.